How's everybody doing? I think you know, and welcome back to Cities Skylines, East Yorkshire, and the city of Kingston. If you're anything like me, you are somebody who might like to travel once in a while, and certainly can't do that right now because of the pandemic. So instead, we are building this lovely city based on the city of Kingston upon Hull in the UK. If you've been following along in the series so far, you know one of the things I've been really focusing on recently is getting the city to have some industrial base to kind of help that orange slider come down a bit. It's continuing to ride high, and I wanted to do whatever work I could to fix that. And what I've started at doing here is not that at all. I really should have been putting in industrial buildings, but I took a look at this big spot on the map. This square kind of falls in between some industrial areas that I've already built and the main northeast bridge out of the city. And one of the things I always noticed while I lived in Hull was coming over this bridge, there was a kind of shady looking used car lot. You can get cars for so cheap in Hull, it's crazy. But instead of a crappy looking one, I've gone ahead here and put in a Ford dealership, and then kind of played around a little bit with the mechanics of how, you know, cars will get in and out of this area, and then looking at the detailing in general. And instead of putting in the really obvious parking lot decals that I've used in some other parts of the city, I've laid in these UK ones from the UK props pack, and then gone ahead and started adding in some cars. The dealership is actually a Ford dealership, and I think it does look maybe a little oversized and maybe a little bit too American, but I think with the level of detailing you're seeing me put in here, the overall look is what I kind of wanted from it. And what you'll notice at first is that I started putting in a few cars and then had to stop because I did not have enough Ford car assets downloaded from the workshop. So I actually had to go back later, and you'll see me in a few minutes go back to that and lay in the rest of the cars, because I did want Ford cars that are representative of the kind of rides you'll see in the UK. For whatever reason, despite the plethora of European cars, UK people love their Fords. But it's not the kind of Ford you'd see in the US. It's Fiestas and Kugas and Mondeos and things we don't even necessarily have here anymore. After that, you'll see I kind of popped in this little pub. We've talked before about the need for more pubs, the need to have as many pubs as possible in this build, and this is a really good spot for it. Just kind of dingy, low-key, right next to the bridge. You'll see a lot of pubs like this in the UK where it's near an industrial area, and this is probably the pub that all the, you know, real blue-collar guys would have been drinking at after work. You know, you put in a nice shift and you want a couple of pints at the pub. I can't say I blame them. So I just went ahead and added this in, did a little bit of light detailing, threw in some cracks in the road. I really just wanted it to feel kind of run down and kind of an everyman's pub. Moving on from that though, I did still need to get some industrial buildings in. And one of the things I was noticing as I looked at Hull from Google Street View, from Google Maps and all that, was a lot of the buildings don't actually look like you see here, where the back of the building, the fenced-in area, is in the back facing the water. In reality, it's often flipped around the other way. And the reason for that is purely functional. Back in the day, it would have been very common for a building's doors to open up onto the waterway, where you could dump either directly or with chutes your cargo, whatever you're producing, directly into a boat that could then go out to sea and transport it to wherever your customers are. So for this, I've gone ahead and done that. I flipped. You can see I flipped the building around, which did require me to kind of hack in a road here so that, you know, it won't give me errors when it's producing. And then I just put the fenced area in the back, threw a few, you know, work vehicles in, and I'm really liking it. I don't know if I'll go back and change all the other buildings. I don't think they all need to look like that, but I did turn that building around, and then one other in the industrial park that I built previously. I'm not sure if I kept that footage or not, but maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. For this awkward kind of triangular space, I just filled in with some brush and some trees before. I took a suggestion from one of the comments we had in an earlier video that outside of the city should have a lot of kind of an abandoned feel, and it's true in Hull, and I think it works well here. So I threw in this quote-unquote abandoned industrial building. It is functional, it will provide jobs, but you know, it looks broken and run down, and adding some of these grasses around it, adding these dumpsters, or what they'd call skips in the UK in the back, I really think it makes it feel and look the way it should be, and really happy with the way this came out, and I'm kind of looking to use that technique in the future. Oh, and here it is. Like I said, here are all of the cars that I added in. If you're watching the video at this point, you're like, wow, he's like really speaking about exactly what's on screen. I'm taking a different approach for this video. In the past, I've been, you know, doing all the video editing and then sitting down and writing a script before sitting down and recording the audio. And it doesn't really feel terribly organic, and it takes me so long to write the scripts because I'm just not the best writer, and honestly I feel more comfortable doing speaking like this. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are about that, if you'd like to see the videos done more in this style in the future, or if you prefer me to go back to script writing. For this next part of the video, I initially started on putting in the entertainment complex concert hall area in the southern part of the city center, and you'll see me get away from that in a minute. I've decided I'll do the actual detailing and finalization of this area maybe in the next video, if not very soon. But what became more important for me first was to move the city hall. So you see at the very first portion of this, I've already moved the city hall up a full block. I felt that it being next to the church provided too much of a open square there, where I wanted to be putting open squares in other parts of the city. So by moving the city hall, it really opened up this area in front of the church to kind of put in these older looking, traditional UK looking commercial buildings, which you'll see I end up kind of looping around, and I don't finish off this entire square. I kind of get a little antsy and jump around, and you'll see where I end up there in a bit, but I really do like the way this came out. I think in the other parts of the city, I was forced to put in some more European buildings, which don't feel entirely out of place, but do, you know, maybe don't do exactly what I was really looking for. And here instead, I feel these buildings look much more British, much more either pre-war or post-war, which Hull in real life has a variety of due to the bombing it took in the Blitz. And I'm just really enjoying the way this has all come out. Here though, you'll see this is kind of an industrial, I think this is an industrial building, maybe it's a commercial building, I'm not too sure, but I think it looks nice to have this kind of brutalist looking post-war building, an office block, you know, somewhere where there's jobs, somewhere where you gotta park in the back of the building, and it looks dingy and gray, but it's functional. As you're continuing to watch here, for those who haven't already, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button as well if you're enjoying this video. And also a reminder that I am on Twitch at, my user handle is IThinkYouKnow with an underscore. And I'm also on Twitter, I'm just at IThinkYouKnow on there. I'm posting pretty regularly on Twitter as always, and I did do the live stream a couple of weeks ago. I'm recording this video on a Saturday right now, so I don't expect to get a live stream in this weekend, but hopefully the next, and I'm working on getting a schedule that makes sense for the future. You can see here I'm continuing to move around and tweak exactly where the City Hall building is going to sit, and that's mostly because my plan has always been to make the center part of the city very heavily pedestrianized. And the problem with doing that in Cities Skylines is that any commercial or industrial buildings need truck traffic, and I intend to ban all traffic on these roads except for emergency vehicles and garbage trucks, which you just need those to let the buildings function in general. So you'll see here I'm playing around a bit with these Georgian buildings that I'm kind of angling and overlapping and just trying to get the angles right on them. You'll see in a minute I also uniformly color them all with that mod, with the repaint mod. I always forget the name of that one, but I give them all kind of a deep red brick-like texture to them, and trying not to put too many of them in here. I don't want this entire city center to be full, but I think I get just enough in here, and before you know it, we're gonna get to tiling. I'm not going to be tiling all of this in this episode, and I cut out a lot of that footage because you've seen me do it in a couple episodes before, and I just kind of wanted to lay down the basis of it. I'm going to jump into a live play very soon, and I think I will have finished the rest of the tiling in the live play, so that in the live play we can just go over what we've built and maybe show you a few other things that I have built, because what you'll see at the very brief end of the time-lapse here is it looks so nice, and to me this has been the most creative part of the city that I've done so far, and I am really stoked onto how it came out, and I'm looking forward to finishing off the city center. If not in this video, then certainly in the next one or two. But without further delay, let's get into that live play, shall we? Alright, and here we are in the live play. First thing you'll notice is I actually remember to start the game this time. It's actually running before I have to even think about it. That's always a plus. But one major thing that I forgot to mention earlier in the video was brown water. So I had posted on Reddit, and I knew I had the mod, but I had never used it. I wasn't really quite sure what I was supposed to be doing, but I played around a lot with the colors, and I got this lovely putrid looking brown water, which is exactly what I was looking for. And I really think it looks good. It makes more sense for this kind of a city. Another thing you'll notice, and I'll just pan up here a little bit, is I replaced the cube map. This is something that I've never done before in any of my maps, because I always looked at the large file size of the cube map files and figured, well, my game will never load. It already takes too much RAM to get open. But the cube maps actually load when you load them in the game. So it's not part of the loading screen process, apparently, which, hey, you learn something new every day. And I've gone with a cloudy one, but, you know, with some blue skies to the west, and I really think this looks nice, suits the city well, and really makes all of these live plays and my screenshots look a lot better. So I am very thankful for that. So before we go deeper into the city center, which I know you want to see, let's go over to what we looked at in the first part of the video with this little extension of the industrial area. Nothing here has changed too much from what you saw in the video, except I did get a whole bunch more Ford assets on the workshop, and went ahead and added in all of these fans? Flags? That's what they're called. They're called flags, people. And this nice Ford billboard, which, you know, really sits nicely behind and kind of, you know, punches you in the face as you're coming over the bridge here. And I don't know, I just really like the way this came out overall. Not just the dealership, but, you know, this extension of this abandoned building, and the forward-facing industrial here. The other forward-facing industrial that I mentioned that wasn't in the previous footage was this building here, which I also, you know, instead of leaving this giant dead triangle space, which I had when the building was facing the other way, I flipped the building, put in a fence and a gate, a couple of trucks, and, you know, just like that, you know, it really fills in some extra dead space, and it really helps to add in some additional level of detail into the build. Alright, let's look at the city center. So I just spent like, I don't know, an hour and a half, way more than I expected, continuing to tweak and detail this a little bit. And it's certainly not done yet, and I definitely need to spend more time in this, and again, probably the next video or maybe the one after that. But so far, I am just thrilled. I finished off the rest of this block, added in a couple of pubs, a curry shop. Who doesn't love a good spicy curry? And some more industrial, which is actually, it's gotten that industrial slider down, which means that I can push forward to something else in the next episode. But you can see here these buildings that I've angled in, it really came out nice. I'm really liking the red color of the bricks, and, you know, the people are just streaming through here. They're getting off of the train, they're coming down this main path here. I've added in another one of these European wall-to-wall buildings. I think this one might be a little domineering, but I think it really fits the aesthetic and kind of matches some of the derelict classic department stores that you would find in Hull in real life. And I think for Kingston, that's the name of the city. Dull was some of the names that I say the files as. I always get confused. I pushed back the parking lot to add in some trees, and I don't know why that truck's going down here. Get out of here, truck! But for the most part, really happy with how this came out. I filled in the rest of this block here as well. And coming up soon will be the detailing and final placement of the concert hall here. And really just getting the rest of the city filled in. You know, getting all of this filled in, it's been a lot of really nice progress, considering what I've been trying to go for, and now I just need to fill the rest in, give it a really solid detail, and then let us move on to other parts of the city, which, you know, I think is really going to expand the scope and make this feel way more cohesive. So that is going to be it for the live play today. Stick around for a quick cinematic, but thank you all so much for joining us as always. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.